If the progressive thing isn't viable, does that mean that the trad thing's viable?
Will the trad movement replace progressivism? Welcome back to the channel. I don't know what the trad movement is, but I see Destiny's on here, so I'm interested to hear about it.
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this is what frustrates me so much is that progressive are obviously lost, but then like conservatives or some of the trad people like, okay, we're gonna go back to being trad. No, you're not. We're never getting rid of abortion. We're never getting rid of birth control. Women are working in ways that they never have before, and they have so much control over reproduction that the world is fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
And whatever we go forward with in the world, it has to take into account those two realities. So anybody that's walking out here expecting that men can get women with paychecks or by being alpha, everything you're saying doesn't matter anymore. You're talking about a world that doesn't exist anymore. And anybody that's talking about like very traditional roles in terms of like who's earning more money in the household or whatever, you're probably not relevant anymore. So we have to carve out some world in the future where we have some idea of a masculine or male archetype that's compatible with the fact that your wife might be earning or even out earning you, right? That has to be a thing because once Pandora's box is open in terms of like the reproduction shit and the working shit, it's just not going to go away. Women are going back to what they were before. It's not going to happen. And it sucks because like it would be interesting to see a lot of like trad talks in that direction. There's only, you know what? There's only one person I've ever heard give a good take on trad relationships, and it was fucking Ben Shapiro. Did you see Ben Shapiro's conversation with Lex Friedman?
What is trad? What the? I don't even know what a trad relationship is, and I'm kind of bored already. Let me look up a trad movement. Cause I like the reason why I'm bored is not because Destiny's not spitting, but more so like I'm probably just gonna agree with everything he's saying. So there's really nothing to. What is trad? What is trad? Trad wives. Women who call themselves trad wives are part of a fringe internet subculture that glamorized the aesthetics and norms of the 1950s. You know what? Let's read what this is. Maybe this will be interesting because this sounds very stupid. From Vice. You know? Esty Williams grew up in a broken household and realized quickly she didn't want to repeat the mistakes of her parents. I didn't grow up traditional, she says. And I think that does play a big part in my decisions to move towards this lifestyle. I grew up in a very hectic household and my parents got divorced when I was younger. Williams watched her mother work all hours of the day, then come home and cook and clean for her family. I just knew I didn't want to be that wife or mother that went to work full time, came home, and still had to do the cooking and cleaning, she says. I really admire different families around me who has more of a traditional mother at home doing these things. So the jacked in her college career and adopted the stay-at-home lifestyle at the behest of her electrician husband. At the same time, she decided to document her life on TikTok, bedecked in plaid dresses with a Marilyn Monroe-like blonde bob. The 24-year-old now has 83,000 followers on the app, a good number of whom seem to hate follow her, and like any good mainstream media sensation, Williams has transcended TikTok. She's become the face of the app for those on Twitter who don't spend any time on TikTok, thanks to people reposting her videos on Twitter alongside constant commentary about what it says about the state of the world. Williams first posted trad wife content on TikTok in July 2022 and has since gone on to give people an insight into her daily life, often to significant criticism from those who point out that it sets back women's rights by several decades. I'm not going to read more of what is going on, but I'm going to continue talking like this because I think I sound appealing. Now, one thing I will say in reference to this situation is that it seems that trad wives are basically traditional wives based on the original aesthetic that is the olden days, such as the 1950s. It's interesting that she decided to go down this kind of trend. I don't think we'll ever go back to that period of time, but if you want to be a traditional housewife, if you want to be someone that really wants to stay at home, cook for your husband, take care of the kids, clean the house, and look like those old styles in terms of their swag and glamour, feel free, do what you want. Who cares at the end of the day? It's kind of weird. It's kind of awkward on how all these women that are kind of calling her out by her name, saying that you are bringing back women's standards. It's awkward. It would be one thing if she was saying things such as, all women should go back in their house and be subservient to their husbands. It would be one thing if she goes and says that women shouldn't work at all. It is bad for you. People need to realize that people who are under these circumstances and situations, when they are pressured enough, they really go the extreme. Humans are very simple creatures. Think of it such as pearly things, just pearly things, right? She really started out very nuanced in terms of her perspective. Would watch things from people like Jordan Peterson, for example. But then she definitely went off the deep end and went into a more kind of extreme type of opinion, and even brought someone such as Nick Fuentes, the known racist on the internet. She inherently doesn't seem like a bad person from what I've seen, but because of how much she's pushed, because of how far people are pushing her in the other direction, it makes sense that she would fall off the deep end. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all humans at the end of the day. Most people are very nuanced and polite. Even someone like Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, that when they are pushed hard enough, because both of those individuals were pushed to their respective directions, we end up somewhere we never wanted to be in the first place. Something to take into consideration next time you start slandering someone out of their name for a take that you necessarily didn't agree with, but inherently was not necessarily that bad when it started out. Let us move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about.